You know that one Disney film from the 80s that you've never seen and can't remember the name of, but according to legend it almost bankrupted the studio? It's The Black Cauldron. Released in 1985, this is Disney's 25th film, and it's another attempt from the studio to create a fantasy film set in the medieval times. Clearly not their best setting. The legends are true. This film almost single-handedly caused Disney to close up shop right before the Renaissance started. So is the film really bad enough that it deserved to bomb that hard? Yes. Okay, let's be fair. Yes and no. It's quite bad by all means, but unlike Sword in the Stone, this one's bad in, like, a fun way. It was actually meant to be the studio's most ambitious film to date, a sumptuous historical epic to rival Lord of the Rings itself. Don Bluth left the studio with half the crew right before production began, but the studio was still in good company since Tim Burton and John Lasseter both stepped in to fill his shoes. Until they left too. This film was really just cursed from the start. Then the film got stuck in production hell for 5 years. Yes, 5 years. It was supposed to come out in 1980. It didn't. So the plot of this film is that Taran, a farm boy who dreams of one day becoming a knight.
Is this to be my life? Pampering a pig? I'm a warrior.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
Finds out that his pig, Henwen, can see the future. An evil wizard called the Horned King, voiced by John Hurt, the goat, is hunting for this pig so that he can use its powers to find an artifact called the Black Cauldron, which will allow him to spawn an undefeatable evil army at his command.
Soon the Black Cauldron will be mine.
So, naturally, the smartest course of action is to kill the pig. I mean, sorry to Henwen, but the fate of the entire world rests upon the Horned King not capturing it. So I think better safe than sorry in this case. But I understand, it's a kid's movie, you can't kill off the pig, even though you chose to name it Henwen, which proves that you never had its best interests at heart. So instead of killing the pig, Taran is tasked with escorting her to a secret cabin so that they can hide there indefinitely, which could be for years. Hope you like pigs, Taran. Alright, this is where the adventure officially begins. Let's see how long Taran holds out.
But without the help of my pig Henwen here, Henwen? No! Please!
And he loses Henwen in less than a minute because he was too busy daydreaming about being a knight.
I'll protect you.
The greatest warrior in all Prydain!
Fucking incredible. You'll quickly come to appreciate that Taran is possibly the stupidest Disney character. The silver lining is that because of this, Taran meets Gurgi, the best character in fiction.
Come on, the apple. Where is it?
Gurgi not know where the apple. Oh, poor miserable Gurgi deserves fierce smackings and whackings on his poor tender head.
As I'm assuming you noticed, yes, Gurgi's voice is very similar to Gollum's from Lord of the Rings. And it's very possible that that's not a coincidence because it's speculated that this performance inspired Andy Serkis's take on Gollum. I mean, Gurgi is clearly based on Gollum, so if it's true that Serkis was inspired by this performance, then there was a cute little crisscross of inspiration between the two franchises. That's your trivia dump of the day. So Taran breaks into the Horned King's castle, immediately falls over into a bunch of bad guys, and gets himself captured. What a fucking legend. Taran's gold streak doesn't end here though. He immediately folds to the Horned King and agrees to convince Henwen to tell him where the Black Cauldron is.
No! You can't! No! Stop! I'll make her tell you.
Dude, the fate of the entire world depends upon this. Just let the pig die. Actually, it doesn't matter either way because just as the Horned King is about to get what he wants, Taran gets scared and trips, defeating the Horned King in the process. And then manages to free his pig by throwing her into the ocean.
Swim, Hen! Swim!
Yeah, Henwen will definitely survive that fall. So after this point, Taran has basically no agency in the movie and things just kind of happen to him by chance. He gets freed from prison because a princess with a magic orb just happens to come through the cell he's in.
You're being held a prisoner, aren't you?
Yes.
I'm being held against my will too.
Then he just happens upon a magic sword that starts doing all the work for him for the rest of the movie. They also stumble upon a guy with a magic harp who escapes with them. Then Gurgi stumbles upon them, and they stumble upon some pig trails, which takes them to a bisexual whirlpool, which leads them to a bunch of fairies who just happen to know where the Black Cauldron is.
It's safely hidden in Morva. Morva?
So then they get the Black Cauldron, but then at that exact moment they get captured by the Horn King's men who happen to be there and then get taken to prison. But Gurgi also is there and then frees them. And holy fuck, this plot is so contrived. The story is moved forward by people stumbling onto stuff. And I have no reason to root for Taran as a character. He never earns anything, he just gets handed stuff. And the only times he does do something, it's him fucking up. And continuing this trend, it's not Taran that saves the day, but Gurgi by sacrificing himself to stop the cauldron.
Gurgi has no friends.
You don't have any friends.
Wait! No! No!
Hold on. Gurgi dies? You wouldn't kill the pig, but you'll kill Gurgi? This movie's fucking 0 out of 10. It's now on the bottom of the list. Oh no, Gurgi, no. Oh, this is simply not good. This is so sad. Oh, and it's probably also worth mentioning that the only reason Gurgi is able to free them and then sacrifice himself in the first place is because the Horn King ties them up right next to the Black Cauldron as he's enacting his master plan, and then just leaves them unattended.
Come, sire. We can get a bit of view from above.
Oh, it's okay, guys. They won't be able to foil my plan because I tied them up with a piece of rope. So, no reason to have a guard keeping an eye on him. Or anything.
Something's wrong. They're dying.
It can't be. This had better not be your fault.
Then it's the epic climactic showdown between the Horned King and Taran. How does Taran defeat him? Well, he doesn't really. The Horned King just kind of stands too close to the cauldron and then gets sucked in and dies. That's the climax.
Curse you!
It's up there with Sword in the Stone for best climax. To give this movie its fair share of credit, it brings Gurgi back to life.
The cauldron for Gurgi.
We have made a bargain.
So, I take back what I said before. This movie is not on the very bottom of the list, but it was a close call there. So why does this movie feel so empty? Well, for one thing, it has no humor. This is probably the only Disney movie I can think of that I can't remember a single joke from. If they wanted to make a movie like this, they should have gone all in on making it dark, and apparently the original draft of the movie was going to be far darker, but then Disney execs stepped in and forced the creators to soften the film's edges, and what we end up with is kind of an awkward compromise between light and dark, and it doesn't really work on either front. There are moments with perfectly good opportunities for jokes, like this part when Taran picks up a broom to defend himself with when there's literally a rack of weapons sitting right there, but the storyboarding is so poor that most viewers might not even see the rack at all because it's barely on screen. If you're gonna make us sit through a movie with the most incompetent main character of all time, you can at least get some humor out of it. There are a lot of half-baked ideas the movie throws out, like the magic harp, the magic bubble, the magic sword, the magical ability to make my patience disappear. But none of these magical MacGuffins are expanded upon in any meaningful way, and the movie just feels like it's bursting at the seams with ideas. Even Henwen ends up being completely irrelevant to the story and barely appears again after being chucked into the ocean. Unfortunately, the characters are just as underdeveloped as the plot is. There has never been a Disney villain more boring than the Horned King.
Its evil power will course through my veins.
And in general, this movie is suffocated by side characters. Let's see, we got Eilonwy, Flurderflam, Dolly, and of course Gurgi. Wouldn't be the same without him. None of these characters, and I repeat, none of them, except Gurgi, have any purpose or arc or anything. The closest this movie gives us to character drama is Taran being a sexist little bitch.
It takes a great warrior to handle a sword like this.
It is a magic sword.
Ha! What does a girl know about swords anyway?
But don't worry, they still have a shoehorned will they won't they subplot.
I believe in you.
And I think that you.
Yes, Taran?
I mean.
Step back, I think I'm more vomit!
I think a lot of this is the result of trying to shove as much source material into one film as possible.
In the case of The Black Cauldron, we started with 5 books and had to condense them down into one. Primarily it's based on The Black Cauldron. And these books are from the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. One of our problems was that there were so many characters and so much story that it was kind of a case of taking all of this material and condensing it into one story that we could put on the screen.
Even the animation, whilst mostly good, is victim to some bizarre creative choices, like the decision to use real live-action footage as a background at one point, which really clashes with the animated characters, and then they left these weird white outlines around them that should not have made it into the final cut, especially when films from the 40s could blend live-action with animation better than this. Maybe the animators didn't have enough time for cleanup because they were too busy being horny.
Where are you? Don't go. Now look what you've done.
I'll end on this note. In the final moments of the film, Taran acknowledges that he's no true knight, and he'll probably always be a farm boy.
I'm not a warrior. I'm a pig boy. What would I do with a sword?
Jesus, this is a Disney movie where the moral is that sometimes you just aren't good enough to pursue your dreams, so you should give up. In this case, he is right, though. You know that video you just watched? Well, guess what? It was actually a snippet from a larger video that you can watch here, if you have the time. I mean, I guess it's up to you. I would recommend you watch it, but you know, it's your call. I mean, I don't have time to wait on you anyways. I got birds to feed. But please watch it.